Hello everyone, my name is Aaron Balhadia and I was recently introduced to a personality test, otherwise known as an Ocean test. This test is widely regarded within the workforce and is used by managers and leaders to assess and analyze potential workers. In this video/speech, I will be recording and sharing where and how I place on each letter of the Ocean test. Each letter has a different meaning in terms of personality trait. O stands for openness to experience, C stands for conscientiousness, E stands for extroversion, and A stands for agreeableness, and N stands for neuroticism. Prior to my own results, it is important to address why this test is important in general. That way you guys care as much as I do. Unless you don't care, then that's a personality issue. For example, the Ocean test can help people like you and me discover how conscious we can be. And according to the Essentials of Organizational Behavior in the 14th edition, conscientiousness is important within the workforce because it shows how you generally can learn a lot better than most people can. Now on to me. For O, I placed a 25. For N, I placed a 13. For C, I placed a 19, and for A, I placed a 32, and for E, I placed a 14. We should start with extroversion. In general, I'm not a very loud person in front of other people. I'm certain that people in my college classes can attest to that fact. A couple questions on the personality test were: are you the life of the party? Do you talk much? And do you feel comfortable around other people? In general, I've always been a very isolated person. Ever since I was in elementary school, I've always had this feelings of social anxiety that would run very rampant when I was a lot little. I would always think that people were making fun of me or thinking bad thoughts about me that they generally shouldn't have been thinking, and 9 times out of 10 I was wrong for a majority of the time. I would describe it almost like chemotherapy. You take away like people that can be toxic or hurt you, but you also take away the chance of having a meaningful relationship. And in those two things, it generally doesn't there's not a lot of good fruits when it comes to having that type of mentality when it comes to talking to other people. In recent years, I recognize that in general, some people gravitate better to others, and it's not my job to turn myself into someone other than myself to fulfill having a lot of friends. The real friends are the ones that see you for who you are, and those friends are the ones that are worth keeping around, which is very little in the world. The other 2 letters were A for agreeableness and O for openness to experience. In general, these questions were very similar to each other. Are you generally interested in other people? Do you have difficulty understanding abstract ideas? Are you interested in others? Do you spend time reflecting on things? As a person, I am very much interested in other people. Some people would describe me as like a people watcher. I'm interested in if there's like drama within other people in a different area of my life. Anyways, what's it called? If I'm curious, I usually try to put myself out there. However, I've always had this belief that I needed to have many friends. But with many friends comes many fake friends. And with those kinds of people, they may start to view you as a nuisance rather than a friend. Especially if they're only your friends to make fun of you. In recent times, being around those kinds of people made me a little bit less agreeable, but I am still open to new ideas. And on that note of being open to new ideas, I always give an effort to reflect on where I am mentally and emotionally when it is appropriate. I always take the time after a tough or exhausting day to reflect on my past mistakes and see how I can possibly grow. And this has helped me think, and in time has led me to take a gamble with trying something new. For an example for that being, I recently tried a new sport. If you saw in the group chat, you probably know what sport that is. The last 2 were neurotic and conscientious. Now, the questions in this segment were very similar in their own fashion. Do you get stressed out easily? Do you get chores done right away? I would admit that these are my weakest letters on the Ocean test. I see to it that I do sometimes leave stuff around and do not do my work as early as possible. I do sometimes get stressed easily, and this could be due to a behavioral learned pattern, but my family has always taught me to have a humble lifestyle. But with that can come envy and neuroticism if I see what someone else has that I don't have. That's not to say I do not get work done in such a fashion, as in without I get work done begrudgingly or without focus. My coworkers have described me as having OCD. They've asked me, do I have OCD? I answered, I don't know. But I never seek to set my work first unless I have a deep, seated passion for it. In general, people will always look towards themselves and believe they may be lacking in something, and trials or a personality test will often reveal what you may or may not have. It is our job as people to grow and fix what is in our control and to avoid what we can avoid in order to have a fulfilling life. I hope this helps someone in some form of way. Thank you.